What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. I really thought this job would have more explosions and car chases and less homeless people doo-dooing everywhere. Guys, we have a banger show for you today because we had a fucking banger week. I cannot wait to get to that portion of the show, but there is so much news. Massive upheaval in the AFC North. Things are going crazy. I'm just my mind is a whirlwind right now. I need my guy, the steady voice of the show, to maybe calm me down a little bit. Evo, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. I am tired, very exhausted, long day at work, but a lot of fun. Watching games this weekend. It was a fantastic wild card weekend as far as the actual games. If you aren't a fan of any one particular team, you actually got a good slate of games, which is pretty damn awesome. Who would have thought that not having the same old teams in the playoffs every single time, makes it interesting? Or maybe it's the fact that the difference between, we're not having any one team stand out and be like, oh yeah, this is the favorite to win the Super Bowl. They're all have their weaknesses. They all have their strengths, and it's making the playoffs kind of fun right now. So super excited to talk about that and what's to come. And of course, all the moving and shaking around front offices, head coaching jobs, things like that, the coaching positions in the NFL right now. This is, in my memory, the craziest offseason as far as head coaching vacancies. A third of the league is looking for new head coaches.
Well, it's crazy how many guys there are that are out looking for jobs and guys that have been in the league for so long. You talk about a Tomlin. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with him, if he's going to continue to coach, how he's going to be able to continue to coach. If he does, because there's a potential rumor or a clause in the contract because he resigned, he might have to be traded. I don't know if that's real. The AFC North is just in a fucking uproar right now. And apparently we're the favorites to now land Mike McDaniel as our next head coach. So it's just, things are crazy, man. I need a good coach to come here. I need a good coach listen, Mike McDaniels. I'm going to take a second on the Browns just because I can't not think about it right now. I thought about this earlier. If we hire Mike McDaniels as the head coach, okay, cool, dope. Vibes on max, right? With Shedeur, here's what we need to do. We need to trade Dylan Gabriel to a team that maybe will give him a shot. And then we need to do something with Deshaun Watson, but we need to bring Jameis Winston back to be the veteran so we can get Jameis Winston, Shedeur Sanders, and Mike McDaniels all on the same fucking sideline, working together, just creating the ultimate vibe thing, and maybe we'll be good. I have no idea.
You'd have to probably trade for Jameis. He still is under contract with the Giants.
We can send them Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's a tough sell. Look, it's you say the vibes would be up there. There would be a vibe. I don't know. I don't know that, old party boy Mike is going to make that transition from the sunny beaches of Miami up to Cleveland and enjoy that.
You thought he wanted to die before when he was in Miami? Wait till he spends a couple of years here in Cleveland.
Yeah, straight off the coke and right on to the fentanyl or something like that. That's it's a tough one. Look, this is, in just a quick rough Google search, the most head coaching turnover that we've seen in at least recent memory. We have 9 head coaching vacancies at this point right now in the NFL. The next closest 2 seasons were in 2021 and 22, where there were 8 head coaching changes in each of those seasons. 24, there were 7. So this just kind of goes to show you that the league is the NFL, not for long. Teams expect, when they're shoveling upwards of $300-something million every year into players, that they want results. These owners want results and they want them quick. And it doesn't necessarily help coaches and front offices when you do see some teams have very rapid, quick turnarounds. Um, I don't like giving Aaron Rodgers credit, but he did say, this is not the league that he came up in. Coaches would stay places for a decade longer. They'd have runway to try to build something. That's just not the case anymore. That's society these days. We want
instant gratification, baby.
So it is wild. And to see two staples of head coaches in Harbaugh and Tomlin both no longer be the head coaches of their team. We're seeing not just teams moving on from their coaches, major moves. You're seeing heavy hitters hit the market at this point.
God, yeah.
All over the place, though. And it's not just that head coach. I mean, we also had Kevin Patullo, not great, get fired today. Greg Roman, who has been with both of the Harbaughs for extended periods of time and is well respected as an offensive coordinator. You're seeing all sorts of well-known coaches available. This is one of the cycles that you aren't hearing anything about college coaches because there's so much talent available in the NFL ranks right now for those head coaching positions that they're not even having to go to the college pool at this point. So it is a wild offseason. We're going to see some pretty dramatic changes to at least 9 of the franchises. And theoretically, things aren't even over yet. Because like you brought up, Tomlin, who was just stepped down from his position because Steelers don't fire their head coaches, stepped down today, but he might not be available to directly go out there and interview for head coaching positions. Now, this is unconfirmed. We can't confirm this reporting yet, and we aren't smart enough with the NFL to know, but it does make a little bit of sense that when a coach is fired, that contract is terminated, and then they're available to go out and seek other employment. If he steps down, that doesn't necessarily mean the contract was terminated. His contract rights might still be held by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in order for another team to acquire him, they might actually have to get into trade talks with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of this probably goes into where the Steelers doing the normal save your face type of thing, a mutual parting of ways with him stepping down. But are they going to file it through the league that, yes, his contract was terminated? Or are they going to terminate his contract after the fact that he said that he has stepped down? I don't know. But it stands to reason that if he did step away from the position and he still has years left on that contract, the Steelers might hold a little bit of leverage with him in order to try to trade him. And in recent years, we've seen coaches like Sean Payton be traded from the New Orleans Saints to the Denver Broncos for high draft picks. And for a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are going to be going into next year, now without their head coach that they've had, who has been coaching there since before the first fucking iPhone was created.
That's crazy, dude.
Probably not going to have a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers is decrepit, is not suited to be a starting NFL quarterback for a franchise that expects to go anywhere, and probably only would have come back for a very few peculiar situations, one of them being Pittsburgh, because he said he had fun there this year. He enjoyed the run there, and he liked playing for Tomlin. So Rodgers is probably off the table with that team outside of them getting a blockbuster head coach. So if Pittsburgh, maybe you don't release his contract. Maybe you dangle that out in front of people. Maybe you say, hey, I need a first-round pick in 2027, where there's a lot of quarterbacks available in the draft. Something like that. Tomlin could also elect to do the Bill Cowher route and fade off into the sunset, go get a TV job. Who knows?
I don't know if somebody has to trade for him. I cannot envision someone giving up a first for Mike Tomlin. It's not because Mike Tomlin. I don't know. I don't know that. I understand that he has gotten them to the playoffs, right? But he has had playoff exits. We are talking about the new NFL. We talked about it at the beginning of this segment. Like, everybody wants that instant gratification. And Mike Tomlin has kind of shown that Well, he hasn't been able to give you that gratification. What makes you think that he's going to come in and give you instant gratification right now? I think that mindset is kind of possibly going to keep Tomlin out. Now, Tomlin might keep himself out. He might be one of those guys that says, you know what? It was a good run. I had a great time. I mean, and he reached the pinnacle, won a Super Bowl, never had a losing fucking record. Like, if he retires right now, he's going to be talked about as one of the greatest coaches of all time. I don't know how he feels about leaving a legacy, because obviously I understand he loves coaching. You can watch any interview with Mike Tomlin, and when he talks about coaching and reaching the players, it's incredible. I have a ton of respect for Tomlin. We've talked about it on this show numerous times. You can't bet against the damn dude. Like, it always just kind of goes his way. That's for a reason, right? But are these organizations going to say that I'm going to give Mike Tomlin the next 4 years to run this thing? There are not a lot of organizations that are out there that are extending a lot of open free will. Almost nobody wants to give Harbaugh his fucking ask, apparently, that you gets complete control of the roster.
I mean, I don't even know. We don't know how much of any of that is true at this point, because there's so much stuff out there. He's only taken basically one semi-interview. He's done a couple Zoom calls and talked with people. He's sat down with the Maras in New York. There hasn't really been a whole lot of negotiating yet, so we can't really say what he wants. He said, I think the Titans are moving in the right direction. He's saying all the right things for all the positions, which is absolutely what he should do. But look, when it comes to Tomlin in particular, if that is the case where he needs to be traded for, I think he absolutely.
I don't know, man.
More.
Really?
Sean Payton was traded for a first and second round pick. John Gruden was traded for 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks, and cash.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You're talking about a guy who is known as a culture builder. So if a team needs a cultural shift, they know that he has the resume to build that culture. You can argue that Pittsburgh was one of the most dominant AFC North teams for a long time, and then their roster became antiquated. They would have different coaches at coordinator positions roll through, things didn't work, and despite that, besides an antiquated roster, everything really fell off after Roethlisberger, and they still had winning records and made it to the playoffs. And for a lot of NFL owners, and we as fans don't get this all the time, you have owners who own a football franchise because they want to win championships, because they're competitive. You see that in some of these owners. You also have owners who are happy to own a professional football team that is raking them in money hand over fist. And you know what? As long as we can put butts in the seat and we aren't 2-13 or whatever it is every year, like as long as we aren't putting up consistent losing seasons where we can't fill out an NFL stadium, they're happy. So 9 and 8 years where you're competitive, you're
and that wears thin.
Getting the playoffs.
It wears thin. Listen, I understand that Pittsburgh has a huge expectation with all the success they have had in their history, but it wore thin there. It will wear thin everywhere if you don't succeed to that highest level.
Yeah, but it happened for the better part of a decade. He got way more runway than a lot of other players and coaches, and I think that would be the case.
When you brought up the culture, though, and listen, I follow Steelers Twitter a little bit because I enjoy watching their pain, especially when the playoffs come around. And they have been saying for a very long time that Tomlin is part of the problem. That culture that he was supposed to have built has kind of eroded. And they point to examples in the Le'Veon Bells, Antonio Browns, and those types of things that have happened under his watch, right? So I don't know if that culture moniker is strong everywhere as it maybe is with you or I.
This is the thing, is you bring up Le'Veon Bell. It's 2025. That situation happened in 2018. He got an extra 7 years. Like, there's always going to be, like, Mike Zimmer was brought into my Vikings to change the culture, to make them more rough, and it worked, and it was really good for several years, and then it wore thin. But he definitely didn't get the run that Tomlin did. The culture stuff,
That's also the
that's going to
Steelers
happen.
organization. They don't fucking fire anybody.
They don't. But you're telling me that if I were to go to a very maligned team like the Cardinals, like the Titans, and say, you guys have been in the dumps for years, and over the next 5 years, you're going to the playoffs a handful of times at a minimum, and then coming out with winning records, they would jump on that. And yes, Tomlin's only done it with the Steelers, but and nothing's guaranteed. But he's bringing that sort of resume. You can absolutely convince an owner that that's worth it. He has a lot of respect from the players in the league. Aaron Rodgers, who is known for throwing everyone under the bus, for what it's worth, didn't do that this year. He actually championed him at the press conference after the game. He spoke well of Mikey T. So, like, there's obviously limits and whatnot to what the culture building means and what it does. But I think with Tomlin's resume, a first round pick is the starting conversation if he were to be traded. And I think that's absolutely within the spectrum of possibility if there is a trade required. Now, the Steelers franchise, for what it's worth, is known for doing right by their head coaches. They don't fire these guys. They don't tend to screw them over. They haven't fired a coach since the 60s. So I could see them doing right by Tomlin and not withholding this contract, not trying to hang him out as trade bait, let him move on with his life so that way they can move on with theirs. That being said, I wouldn't blame them for doing that. It would create an interesting situation if Tomlin, say, didn't coach for a year and they hire a head coach, and then all of a sudden he says, oh, by the way, actually, I feel like coaching again. So what about the new guy? Like, either you cut me, and fire my contract, or you want me back? What are we doing here? I mean, it would create a drama situation that I don't think that they prefer to have up there.
And I think it would matter what team. Like, if he's like, hey, I'm going to the Browns, they're going to be like, y'all going to have to pay us some draft picks for that. Like, that's for sure happening.
I'm sure that before that stuff is taken care of, or before those negotiations really start to happen with other teams, that they would know what the situation is. Is he actually released from his contract, or are they still retaining the rights?
Yeah. You'd have to know that somebody will know here in the coming days what the official word on Mike Tomlin's status is. Maybe he's going to hang it up. We have no idea yet. It's been
I'm sure that the
not
front
even 24
office,
hours.
They haven't had press conferences about it yet. Those will be happening here within the coming days. I'm sure that question will be asked. Speaking of press conferences, concerning Mike Tomlin specifically, did you see the Ravens owner in his comments? He was caught off guard because he was asked, hey, Tomlin just stepped down from his contract. What are your thoughts on that? And would you consider bringing him in? And he seemed giddy. He was like, I have a lot of respect for him. I didn't expect this to happen. Like, wouldn't that be crazy if we brought him in? Stuff like that. It was a very entertaining from a owner who obviously doesn't really give a shit talking to the media. And he was having a good time talking about the potential of Tomlin going there, and even Harbaugh going to the Steelers. And he's like, that would be a wild turn of events, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It could happen. It could very well could happen. They're familiar with the organizations. It would make a lot of fucking sense. It would be weird as shit, I think, to see them on the opposite sidelines coaching against each other again. But,
we're not done with press conferences, though. We got plenty more press conference to talk about.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of press conference to talk about. We're going to stay with The Steelers, though, in the press conference, post-game presser, Aaron Rodgers, obviously upset. And, he didn't have a great game. We'll talk about that when we recap these games at the end. He is weighing the options of his career at this point. Obviously, he doesn't know that Tomlin's fired at this point, but there are concerns, there are questions that are going to be asked, right? They ask Aaron in the press conference, hey, how do you feel about Mike Tomlin? And he answers the question that he has a lot of affection for the guy, loves him. He thinks he's a great fucking coach. And then we get another reporter who decides he wants to ask the exact same fucking question, but with different words in hopes of getting him to say a different answer for a goddamn soundbite. Now, I don't like the Steelers. We're pretty off on Aaron Rodgers. You're an ardent hater of Aaron Rodgers.
It was a good weekend.
Yeah. It was
a good weekend for a Vikings fan.
Yeah. But in this scenario where he freaks out, I'm gonna play the clip. I think he's 100% right. Like, why the fuck are you asking me this again? Why am I getting all these bullshit canned questions or clickbait questions coming from the media who's supposed to be professional, ardent professionals? That we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm going to show you guys this video real quick as soon as I push the button. All right.
From being with Mike for a season about him.
And I've answered that a number of times. I've talked extensively about how I feel about Mike. And I just did in that fucking answer. So thanks.
Big fan of saying fuck in inappropriate moments. Like, that is in places you're not supposed to. One of my favorite fucking games. Saying fuck where I'm not allowed. Church, school, fucking anywhere. I'm game for that. So I appreciate him answering it like a human being, because they're trying to bait him into saying something other than what he's already fucking said.
Yeah. Also, he's coming from a position of complete control. What league are you going to try to find me? I just won't play anymore.
Yeah.
You can keep sending that bill. I'm not gonna pay it.
They might hold his pension.
Have to. Like, you think he fucking cares about the pension?
No,
At this point, he's made enough money. Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I would think that, he's probably also, it's way past his fucking bedtime. He's an old man. And you just lost a playoff game, something he's more familiar with doing lately. You're not happy. And you're getting asked the same questions. So, like, the younger version of me up there would probably have a little bit more of a snarky response, maybe not drop the F-bomb, but ask a question in return. Like, I'm sorry, did you just walk in? I answered that question a minute ago. Maybe ask your colleague and do a better job or something. But I get it. I like fucks. I definitely don't ever say them in my professional work environment.
I have fucks to give all over the place. I'll give fucks where they're not wanted. Yeah, I promise. So listen, this press conference, I get it. Like, it makes 100% sense why he gets pissed. I was very happy. I was screaming at the TV, get his old ass. Like, it was awesome to watch the way that went down. Mostly because we called it dead on. But that was not the only press conference that generated some buzz this weekend. Down in Jacksonville, a reporter decided to have a human moment and, basically shout out the coach. Took a team, and you said this in your words on X, that a team that was much maligned, and kind of rose them up from where they were to make them wildly competitive and a fun team to watch. And like, the Jags are going to be a team for a while because their head coach is a pretty damn good head coach. Reporter takes a human moment, gives that to the coach, and then Twitter and basically any other media outlet in the fucking world lost their mind because journalists apparently have sticks wedged firmly up their ass. And you're not allowed at any point to be a human being, have a human moment, talk to people in a fashion where, I don't know, maybe you seem like an approachable person. Like, I don't understand why all the vitriol. Now, I get there are codes of conduct and ethics and things that you're supposed to do, right? This is something so small. And it's not like she said, don't worry about what anybody else says, or she was just saying, hey, you know what, coach, this is a great job this year. They took the fucking Jags, and honestly, Trevor Lawrence, who looked like a bust waiting to happen, and turned him into a guy that maybe he can be a franchise guy. Showed it several times this year. Why are people having such a fucking problem with this? Pat McAfee said it very well on his show. I reposted that as well. Eva, I want to get your take on this. I know you're kind of on her side. You're a little bit of both. You're a professional, man. You work with professional people.
Yeah, the most professional killers out there. The context here is that this was Lynn Jones, who is a regular reporter for News for Jacksonville. This wasn't your Sports Illustrated, ESPN, PFF, none of that stuff. This was a local reporter, and local reporters, and look, no offense to Lynn, she doesn't look like the youngest woman out there. I assume she's been doing this job for a minute. This wasn't, end of life, like I'm going to decide to pick up a new career or something. But she probably is tied into the Jacksonville area to include the sports teams and how that affects the community. And so she said her piece. She had that human moment with the coach, who was obviously, I wouldn't want to say distraught, but upset that they had lost the playoff game. And that's very understandably so, because people are very passionate about sports. People are passionate about sports, not just the fans who watch it, but the players, the coaches, and even the reporters. And so she spoke kindly to him, encouraged him, thanked him for the season. And I think that's perfectly fine. People want to get upset probably because that time is limited. Those post-game pressers are limited for media to talk and ask questions and poke and jab and dissect and possibly ask the same question multiple times if you're certain players and things like that. And now you've just taken up a moment of that time to express something rather than ask a question. And that probably ruffled some feathers. The thing is that you don't hear about Lynn Jones every week consoling, Liam
Correct.
Coen after a loss. You don't hear about her blazing him up after the wins. You don't hear about that because it's not a regular occurrence. This was the final game, the press conference after the game. It's a one-off for a city and a franchise whose football team has not been good very often. Did not have high expectations for the season because the roster had a lot of holes. A new head coach, expectations are going to be low. There's questions about the quarterback, whether or not he could be a franchise guy. You have him very early on make what looks to be a gaffe of him saying Duval, and like it just perpetuates more of this we're fucked, like we brought in a fucking goofball. And he does a really good job at the franchise, and for her to express that in this one press conference and have that moment, I don't think that's crazy. obviously the press conferences, that we have before the Super Bowl with the players get really goofy a lot of times,
Yeah.
right? And so people are like, it's okay to be goofy there. This isn't that different. Like, this wasn't goofy, it was real. And so what? Who gives a fuck? I've seen some people who I respect, and we talked about this before the show, who I respect in like the Vikings community, say like this wasn't the time and place for it. This is what makes it more difficult for certain of us who are trying to get media credentials to these sorts of press conferences. It makes it more difficult. And I don't think that's the case. I think that that is something that people want. And more these days is rather than the normal political press conferences and things like that we are slammed with constantly from the White House and from politicians and things like that are nothing but animosity and fighting and back and forth, to have like people and reporters want their questions asked for the people. We get that. As fans, we want to know, why did you guys run the ball so much instead of pass the ball? Was a mistake to sign this player or to let this player go? Like, yeah, we want to know that. And there is a whole off season for those questions to be asked. There is more press conferences that be had for these questions to be asked. But to take a little moment to have that, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And it's
Well, they don't fucking answer anything anyways in these post-game pressers. Your answers are, we got to get better. It was a really good game. I don't know what happened. I'll have to look at the fucking tape. It's always the same shit because they ask the same stupid fucking questions and they're not going to have those types of answers. Like, it takes time to go back through and look and watch the tape. Now, you can say that we called this play, we thought we had this look, and that's not what happened. But are they going to be able to give you this super inside football breakdown right after the game? No, they got a lot of other shit going on. They have a whole bunch of other plays that they have running through their brains. Like, Sean McVay maybe can tell you exactly what happened at that second, at that time, in that play while he's post-game. But most dudes are going to go back, they're going to watch, and they're going to fucking see what happened from the all 22, and then they'll know. But every single time, it's like, and it's the same people asking the same shit, and it's always the same answer. That's why nobody enjoys these press conferences. This was a moment that completely changed that. What I don't understand, and I kind of have a problem with, is reporters, right? Like, why are we trying to have such this crazy high standard of you're not at any point allowed to cheer, care, or do anything about the team that you cover? Why is that the mindset? We come from a mindset that is much more intense, right? Military. We have to go to war. We have to do things that maybe are crazy, right? But we even have commands for at ease and rest, right? We're not always fucking at the highest ready level, like, oh no, we're ready to kill motherfuckers at any time. Like, that's why are you treating this like it is a sin against everything reporters stand for? It's bullshit. It's because people don't want things to change because that's the way that we had to do it. So that should be the way that you got to fucking do it.
I think for the most part, this is just a reporter echo chamber that has an issue with it. But it is because as fans and viewers and stuff like that, we want unbiased reporting, but we also want humanization. And I think that's what, hopefully, and honestly, I don't know Lynn Jones's full background. I don't know how unbiased she is with her reporting, but obviously she's a fan, at least of Liam Coen. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm fine with that branching out. That's why you get guys like Pat McAfee who are fans. He's like a big fan of the Indianapolis Colts, but he's not necessarily, he's probably biased. He's probably biased to some extent. He's
dude,
also not a reporter.
Correct. He's not a journalist, but he was very critical at one point of the Colts and how things were going with Anthony Richardson. The locker room was very upset with Pat. Like, you can be a fan of a team and critical of the team. You can do both of those things. I promise you, I'm a fucking Browns fan. I love them. and I am critical of them on almost a weekly goddamn basis because they piss me off. Like,
Settle
you can
down.
have
Settle down.
All right. Whew. Pull back.
About to have a heart attack on show, people.
Yeah, you can do both of those things.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's the reporter echo chamber because they've been taught for so long. Get to the point, get the question out, get the answer, try to find sideways ways to ask a question that can lull the coach into saying something that maybe they shouldn't or give you more information than the next guy. And to take a moment of that time to not have that directive and to have a real moment, it's completely off script. And they're like, that's not something we can do. They didn't teach me that. That's not something that we can do. But it is. It is. It's just, and it's probably what people want more of, especially if reporters like Lynn Jones and others are still willing to be critical of the team. And again, I don't know her background. Maybe she is the most biased Jaguars loving reporter out there. And there's a place for that too. Like, there's a place for that too. And people don't like it. But some fans do like it. They do only want to hear the sunny side of things sometimes. Yeah. There's a place for everything. So except for communism and Nazis. But there's typically a place for a lot of things. And I'm perfectly fine with it. I think that the rabble that we're hearing is coming from reporters because they do have a platform that they've already created and are standing on that people are able to hear from that sounding board. The problem is that there's also the rest of social media where everyone else can say their piece, including us.
Yeah. And Matt Silverback can say his piece as well. Thanks for hopping in here, brother. Yeah, I don't like the way this whole thing has been framed. That
she was agreeing to me telling you to calm down, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That's
gotta be.
Right.
Gotta be
it. But I don't fucking blame him, honestly. So, oh, man. Do we have any other press conferences or news that we need to talk about? Or can we get into the games? Because honestly, I'm a little angry about some things. Like this fucking reporter thing does really piss me off. But I'm so pumped, dude. I've been waiting to show off this record of how the picks went this week and recap these games, man. Are we ready to do this?
Yeah, just about. Like there's still, like we said, 9 head coach openings, more coordinators being fired, the most notable one being Greg Roman, Patullo, 1 year and done there in Philly, and I think that kind of needed to happen. The interesting thing is that I wouldn't say that we have a cap on the head coach firings at this point. With Harbaugh still being out there and now Tomlin being thrown in the mix, I wouldn't be completely surprised. I would, be excited at the action of it, but I wouldn't be completely surprised of some teams reaching out to his representation and saying, hey, we still have this guy. We were unsure. Would you be interested if we were to move on from our current head coach? Looking at guys like Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles, is on a hot seat of sorts. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could see yet another head coach fall. So obviously we'll be here to bring that to you if and when we can. And the other spot that we're going to be, like we said in our last show, is down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. Raw Dogs on the road. We are going to be at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, the Panini Senior Bowl. Both Mike and I are going to be there, trying our best to get interviews with players, front offices, scouts, coaches, whoever we can. We're going to try to rub shoulders while we're down there. So we put this out last week. But if there's anything that anyone's watching wants from us while we're down there, because normally you don't really have the chance to interact with the rest of the media and their sticks up their butt. You don't have the chance to interact with them and get them to ask questions. Well, we're here to kind of bridge that gap. We're the everyday guys. We're Army vets. We're just like the rest of y'all. We're going down there to see players play, get our thoughts on them. And if we get a chance to interact, we absolutely want to do that. So if there's particular players, like for me, I want to meet Big Citrus, Dominique Orange. I want to get to talk to this guy. If there's a player down there or someone that you want us to try to talk to or interact with, let us know. Please reach out. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know things that you want from us, and we're going to try to make that happen while we're down there at Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, yeah, dude. I cannot wait. Mobile is going to be a great time. I'm excited. This wide receiver group, man. I started looking at some of these guys. This is going to be fun. The wide receiver group is going to be fun because there are guys that are going. I was not expecting. Like Conception, I was not expecting him to go.
KJ Concepcion.
Yeah, baby. Oh man, it's going to be a good time. We got a couple more. Fuck communism. Yeah. Well, I'll get canceled for that. No problem. And then I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if Tomlin's going to coach. We'll see what happens. He can go anywhere.
Yeah, it's all in his court.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we'll look at how we did this last week with our betting. Not a bad week for me. I went 4-2, but yeah, you got them all right.
Fucking perfect, motherfuckers!
Right. That was intense. But the good news, and I can absolutely say this after the fact, is that if I had made the picks that I was going to pick and didn't throw in over-unders, I believe I still would have matched you there.
Yeah.
A little bit different. But honestly, the teams I was rooting for, the teams I wanted to see or expected to win, were all the ones that got the wins. So that worked out. And it definitely worked out for you. You went with that. Got a 6-0 record here in the postseason so far. Obviously, we have a whole another slate of games that we'll be talking about in our show later this week. But a real good week from you there, Mike. And a real good gambling week because you bet this.
I did. I bet my entire picks. Hit it was plus 2,662. So $10 is what I put on it. I'll tell you what my unit was. I haven't got a problem with that. So nice little $270 win was real nice. And I got the way it got to end was I got to watch the Steelers get the shit kicked out of them at the end. It was great.
Yeah. And for those of you who follow, Blitz's belt to ass, big ass bet did not hit the last leg. DK Metcalf was not able to get in the end zone, and he didn't really get much action after dropping a ball. Aaron Rodgers didn't throw it his way too much more, but look, we're going to get into the justifications for these wins and everything with all these teams here, break down every single one of these games. So you ready to get into that, Mike?
Hell yeah, brother. Let's do it.
All righty. So Saturday, we had two games on Saturday. We had the Rams and the Panthers as our first game. Rams went out there to Carolina, and this was a very interesting game, as were pretty much all the games this weekend, save maybe that final game, Texans versus Steelers, where things really started to get out of hand towards the end, but it was still enjoyable to watch because you got to see a masterclass of defense. But this first game here, Mike, Panthers kept it real fucking close again. It made it feel like the Rams absolutely could drop another one in Carolina like they did earlier this year.
Yeah, man. Bryce played well. The running back situation for Carolina is kind of weird. I don't know why they went away from Rico. Rico doesn't know why they went away from Rico. He probably will not be back in Carolina. But, man, they played a hell of a game. Like, they found ways to get stops. I mean, they turned Stafford over. This thing was close and the whole fucking way. It's not like they came back at the end. This Carolina Panthers team is improving. They will have some question marks going forward. Left tackle, what is that going to look like? Ike Ekwonu goes down in this game, blows out the patellar tendon. Probably 6. Did you have a patellar?
Yep, I was the torn patellar tendon, and it was despite being a fucking unit. I'm not the same sort of athlete as these dudes. I don't have the same sort of staff around me to help me out, and I definitely tried to push it too early. It was 18 months for me. And we know that for professional athletes, it's a lot quicker, but we're still looking at probably over a year before the guy gets any semblance of being back to where he wanted to be. So could he be playing at some point in time next season? Probably. But I wouldn't expect him to be, especially a guy who's carrying around that much mass, to be the same. Because at least for me, it was 6 months in a straight leg brace. With physical therapy and moving it, but you are absolutely going to be having atrophy and things like that. So the expectation to have him back anytime soon is probably pretty low.
Yeah. So that means they're going to be looking to go out, draft a tackle, maybe sign a tackle. So they're going to have to attack the offensive line. They find a way to win that division at 8-9. I don't know that they're where they want to be. Bryce Young has shown signs. He has shown signs of being a fucking backup. Like, they're in one of those kind of purgatory spots right here, but they're on the upswing, right? 8-9, win your division, cool, but at least it's not where we were at last year. Bryce has got to keep making a lot more strides. He's just so limited physically. I'll stop talking about the Panthers, though, because the Rams, they're really good, but for some reason, man, they have been playing kind of to the competition recently. It makes me nervous that Stafford and this group, like, because we thought that they were going to have a chance to make a deep run. They could very easily get knocked out in this next round. Very easily get knocked out in this next round. So we'll see how it goes. We'll talk those matchups on Saturday. But this was a fun game. I was not expecting it to be. I said that during the show I was going to take them on the money line. I had a football pool with some friends. I had to either take them at -10.5 or nothing. I'm glad I didn't have to do that for the show because the Panthers kept this shit close.
Yeah. Look, I think it was week 13 that they played the Panthers and lost to them. And we know that with really good teams, you can have off days where you're not expecting a strong competition and play a bad game. You don't want that to see that from the best teams. But outside of that, it looked like the Rams were basically the most dominant team in the NFL, not just the NFC. And they got back on track with big wins versus the Cardinals and Lions after that. But it seems like from week 16 on, they've kind of been floundering. They had that loss versus the Seahawks, which, again, keep banging the table on this. I feel like it was the best Thursday night game in history, where Seattle ended up coming back and winning that one. They drop one to the Falcons. And then they have a game versus the Cardinals where the score at the end of the game was a lot closer than it should have been. But they still won. But there was a lot more question marks going into this postseason about this Rams team. Like, last year, they started off bad and then got really hot and were, a hot team going into the playoffs. This year, they've been good for a majority of the year, and now they started to tail off, and makes me feel like other NFL competition has kind of figured out some of their weaknesses. Specifically, the ability to turn over Stafford. Stafford's play has dropped, and maybe, he is an older guy as well, and maybe this 18 game season is starting to wear on him a little bit more, and decision-making is not working as well. But the defense is beginning up a lot more points. You have Chris Shula being looked at as a top head coaching candidate, and he's done very good with this team. But the last part of the year, they've been giving up a lot more points than normal, especially to like this Carolina team, who is, again, much improved, and congrats to them. But they are still the Carolina Panthers. They got into the playoffs with a losing record. So I have a lot of question marks about this Rams team. You asked me 5 weeks ago who I figured would win the Super Bowl, and I think the Rams would have been my choice. And at this point, I really don't know. I think that these playoffs have opened it up to everybody. I might lean a lot more towards Seattle. And look, after this coming weekend, I think we're going to get a real taste for whether or not Seattle is the favorite to win the NFC or not. But yeah, the Rams, a lot of question marks now surrounding this team. And are they going to have the juice to make it through the rest of this playoffs into the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm not sure, man. We'll because we'll just transition here and talk about the team they're going to play, who gets a big time win over the Packers. Bears win 31-27. I know you were happy. My dad was happy. I was happy, obviously, because I went fucking 6 for 6. I won't keep bringing that up, I promise. But Caleb Williams came out and fucking just slung that bitch, dude. Everywhere, anywhere. And in the end, it ended up working out for him. It took a masterclass in pissing it down your leg from the Packers. But, hey, Caleb was able to do the things he had to do in the moments that he needed. And that fucking 4th down throw to Loveland on the sideline, like, that's a career defining moment. Like, say he takes them to the fucking Super Bowl on a crazy run, right? That's the play they're going to fucking show, because that is what saves the season. I mean, it was a great game, and Jordan Love, I mean, played well, 4 touchdowns. He threw the ball a lot, to a lot of incompletions. Could not, in clutch moments, come up when he needed a big score or any fucking score until the very end. And it was too little, too late.
Yeah, this is why there was a lot of talks about LaFleur, whether or not he would have a job after this game. Look, this game looked out of hand from the rip. We went into halftime with the Packers being up 21-3. And this Bears defense, while they have been incredible this year with turnover margin, they've made great use of these turnovers and it has helped them win games. They also have been very susceptible to both the run and the pass. They're not a great defense. They're really good at turnovers, and those turnovers are huge game-changing type of plays. That is for any team. And they're able to make good on the turnovers. The thing with the thing with this Bears team is they cause a lot of fumbles, but they didn't take a lot away from Jordan Love passing the ball. Jordan Love was able to put up 4 touchdowns, 3 of those being in the first half, and then things just fucking eroded. They felt comfortable with the cushy lead, and they became extremely, extremely predictable. Jordan Love, been banging the table on this, he's a high volume, high stat guy, but he has 0 clutch in him whatsoever. Caleb Williams, while he had a decent volume day, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have 2 interceptions. He almost lost a fumble, but he has clutch in him. He was able to get the ball to his playmakers. He was able to not give up on the game. You didn't see him on the sidelines painting his nails or nothing like that. You saw him get a little emotional, and I don't think that's a terrible thing. Players are, again, invested in the game, but he was able to keep it together, lead his team to a win, lead game-winning drives. Jordan Love hasn't done that, I don't think, once in his career. And Packers fans, if you're watching,
he did score a touchdown here and late at the end of the game, but the defense also kind of lit, anything they wanted to happen for Caleb Williams at the end as well. So,
sure.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's just when you do have the clutch moments, like, was he able to score a touchdown? Sure, but it wasn't the end of the game. That's, to me, not exactly the clutch moment. It's the clutch moments are when he's had to carry his team to go win the game. He had the ball at the end of the game and wasn't able to go down and get a score. He actually basically
they were in what, high red zone? High red zone they were in?
Yeah. Like, he's able to get them down towards the end zone, but he has not once clutched up in any of these games. And Packers fans, by all means, tell me where I'm wrong. Show me the clutch moments that he's had to win a game. I don't doubt he's had clutch moments, but he has not clutched up and won a game for his team. And that last pass should have been intercepted and was dropped by a Bears defender. You're paying the guy $55 million. And I don't know that it's worth it at this point. When you have a guy like a Malik Willis on your roster, who has been arguably at least as good in many instances. And we can bang that gavel all we want, because we have been for a while. That Jordan Love is probably going to continue to be a top 15 quarterback. He's going to put up gaudy stats. I don't think he's winning you a championship. And been hearing it more from Packers media, more from the Packers fan base. They've been having issues with LaFleur. They've been having issues with Jordan Love. And the 10.5 minute or so montage on Twitter that I reposted, I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now. I love it, because you
Right,
get them
yes.
calling out, you get them saying the same thing. It's, we're paying this guy $55 million, and I know he's not going to do it. And what does he go out there and do? He doesn't clutch up. He doesn't do it. It's bad play calling and bad play from him in the second half. That first half was great. Second half, no.
Not very good. Not a great way to end the season for the Packers. However, I know you were happy. I'm very happy. We can move on to another team that was happy. The Bills get a big time win over the Jags, which makes me happy because now I know where my team is picking. But Bills 27-24. Josh Allen. I mean, did Josh Allen things? Was carried into the end zone. I mean, that tush push was the greatest of the pushes I have ever seen, I think. I thought he was scored. I still thought he was on top of people as he was going in. Crazy game. Bills get it done though, man. Close game.
Yeah, there was a bunch of offense in this game, not as much defense. I mean, we did see some turnovers here and there. I am fearful of the Bills because I think that they're very susceptible. That defense is very susceptible. They're going to be getting some players back here. Hopefully, they opened up windows for some of their players, but it was still a lot of what we have seen this year. I don't think we necessarily saw playoff Josh Allen, the Superman stuff that we talked about from before, but it was enough to win for sure. Very close game, very good. At the end of it, you figured either one of these teams could have come out on top because they both played a good game. And shout out to Tyrell Shavers. Played with the torn ACL. Tore his ACL in the first half. Kept fucking playing. I found out after the game. Give that guy the strongman award. But this is the thing is the Bills, you would think would be like the team you don't want to play in the playoffs in most years. And the defense so far this year, especially with how they're giving up runs in the run game, they worry me. They worry me more than Rams do on the NFC side of like, I don't know if they're going to have all the juice to hold up against a bunch of these teams.
It'll be interesting in their next matchup when going up against the Broncos. Their running game is going to be
Denver.
Very different than other run games that they're going to see. They're going to see a lot more back out of the backfield catching their swings. RJ Harvey is a good back, but he's not necessarily your hand it off to him all the time back. Not in between the tackles guy for sure. But listen, the Bills, I think, have found something in Brandon Cooks that they can really lean into. They need a consistent guy outside of Shakir. Shakir is for sure steady Eddie. He's your slot dude, always open, crazy quick, knows how to separate.
And he's continually good in the playoffs. Like
yes,
last year's playoffs, he shined. And so far this year has shined as well. 12 targets and 82 yards. A fantastic target for him.
But they needed another guy. They were hoping, obviously, that, Keon Coleman would take a big leap forward, and that has not happened. Brandon Cooks is a guy that I think will continue to have a probably more expanded role. I mean, running wide open down the field. And he's been a consistent receiver everywhere he's been his entire career. He was basically 1,000-yard receiver no matter where he went and no matter what circumstance it was in. Obviously, he's not quite that now, but he's still going to be a guy that's incredibly valuable on a potential deep playoff run if that defense can figure out how to stop the goddamn run. Their pass defense is pretty decent, especially, in those early downs. But Jesus Christ, man, that run defense is going to be a problem. If they, God forbid they run into somebody who just can run it down their throat and like the 49ers in the Super Bowl fucking the Patriots are going to be tough. We've seen that matchup. They had to have a miraculous comeback. So it's gonna be a hell of a next round. But
Yeah, getting
Wait.
Ed Oliver back, who they opened his practice window for, and potentially Curtis Samuels, if you think that there's anything still left in the tank there. Wide receiver could help a little bit. Ed Oliver is a big piece to that run defense, but I mean, it's going to. This team obviously has some needs going into the offseason, whenever their offseason begins. That, I think again I'm going to continue to bang the table for wide receiver. I know you said that you felt like they don't need that big alpha wide receiver, that it works
I've
differently
changed
with this
my
team.
mind on that.
I think that they still need that help. Obviously, some retooling on the offensive line, but that defense needs some work, especially to make the run defense a little bit better.
I agree. You ready for the next one, brother?
Yeah, let's do it. We got the 49ers and Eagles. 49ers go into Philadelphia, end up getting the win 23-19. I know you have some serious thoughts on this one about, AJ Brown and being open. Obviously,
He wasn't open.
Scuffle on the sideline.
Nobody was fucking open.
Being the best option available.
For sure. He was.
Yeah.
He was the best option, but we'll get that.
But look, Eagles are out. The Philadelphia Department of Public Works didn't have to grease up any light poles or anything this year. So that's nice for them. And San Fran is able to get the win. They do get the win despite having a huge loss, though. George Kittle down with a torn Achilles. Shout out to him. Obviously, we're fans of him at the tight end position. Shout out to him pounding down a bottle of nice tequila from the owner. But this is, it feels, again, less to me about the San Fran team, because they did win this game, not in resounding fashion. It was a good game. They have their weaknesses. They had a very easy schedule. It's not going to get any easier going into the playoffs the rest of the way for them. But this Philly team does definitely feel fractured, with a lot of that revolving around AJ Brown. Obviously, Philly felt their offense did not operate well this year and moved on from Ken Patullo, which I think was a easy play to make there. But the questions about Jalen Hurts are going to have to continue as well, because the guy threw for 168 yards and 1 touchdown. That's not a very resounding quarterback performance from the team in the playoffs. Yes, they had more run game going, but you would still expect him to be able to hit his receivers a little bit better when you do have that much receiving talent with AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley out of the backfield, Calcaterra. Like, you've got Jahan Dotson, a lot of options there, and only put up 168 yards. Schematically, obviously, there's probably a problem there, but you are seeing him not go after what we would believe to be the correct reads on some of these throws, and have some inaccurate throws as well.
Yeah. So there is a problem with this offense for sure. The offensive coordinator needed to go. Completely get it. Dan Orlovsky does a great breakdown on this as well. And my point that I made on X was that the play is, sure, it's flawed, but the decision was more of the problem than anything, because of what they came out in. Now, the design is bad because they come out in a 2x2 set. On 4th and 11, for everybody, some of this is a little inside football, okay? So if you're not one of those people, I apologize. Some of this is inside football, though. They end up in a 2x2 set, right? Defense is showing fucking mugged up, double A gap look. They motion out, and then they show and they reveal cover 4. Okay, cool. Now I got cover 4. At this point, cover 4 in off coverage with 4 verts called, it's a half field read. You're going to read the goddamn bender on the inside, and then you're going to look to the outside, and then your third option is your check down. Okay? Now, not everybody runs it the exact same way, but that's the way most people would run it. And I don't necessarily know this because I've done that, but I pay attention and I go out and I find things, or you specifically turned me on to something that taught me some of these things. JT O'Sullivan, man, QB school. He does breakdowns on all of this shit in coverage, right? So on 4th and 11, they decide to run 4 verts from the high red zone. The first look is the bend, sure. But at 4th and 11, with no back getting out, because while the backers do drop, the tackles run a game. Saquon never gets out of the backfield, so there is no check down option. So the backers do not need to come up at all and worry about a check down and then running with the ball afterward to get to the first down. They can just immediately bust ass back. And as soon as the bend happens in the slot, the safety can drive because there's nothing else coming back on the other side. So on 4th and 11, you have to squeeze it between the two dropping backers and a safety driving on it on the bend, or you throw it one-on-one outside to A.J. Brown, who, while it's not a great matchup because they're in off coverage, it's still a one-on-one shot with fucking A.J. Brown. Now, granted, A.J. showed in that game that he had some drops. Maybe there was a lack of trust there. Fine. Go to the other fucking side with Devontae Smith, who also has a one-on-one on the outside with cover 4. Like, it made no goddamn sense to me why we're like, listen, sure, you want to be mad at the play caller? I get it. It was boring vanilla ass shit. But don't act like, we can't act like it was all the play caller. Jalen Hurts owns the decision to throw that route there. A.J. Brown should have been the option, in my opinion. There will be people that say certain things. Kurt Warner, I think, has kind of said a little bit of both ways because it's not a great option in off coverage. But I was so frustrated that the only narrative was that the play call was bad, because there's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more to it. And if you're not tuned into that, to JT O'Sullivan's QB School channel, check that shit out. You'll learn a lot of stuff.
It's worth paying for his content too. He puts out a lot of free content on YouTube, but as a subscriber, his content, his paid content, is extremely good. It can take you from having a relatively good football knowledge to really understanding a lot of the inner workings, thought process of quarterbacks, thought process of play design and how it's built. He goes through defenses. It's a fantastic channel, fantastic watch.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So the fact that the Eagles lose, Jalen Hurts did not play great, obviously. Saquon Barkley had a pretty decent day, but there's going to be a lot of upheaval, turnover. A.J. Brown, I don't think will be there.
I'm pretty sure his contract is up.
Yeah, he ain't going to resign. He is not going to want to be there. Like, he basically, from reports that I saw, now listen, I don't know if all of these reports are real. He basically just walked out of the fucking locker room, didn't talk to media, and was just like, all right, later. So the relationship hasn't been great. They got A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown was getting out of Tennessee where he wasn't being utilized in a big time number one role the way he thought, and Philly was going to be that place for him. And then it absolutely never fucking happened the way that he expected. And now there's no way that they're going to continue to be the relationship there. Either he's going to be traded or his contract is up.
So I just pulled up the contract. He's actually signed with them through 2029. However,
he's fucking traded, dude. There's no way.
His earliest out would be 2027, it looks like, and they would still take on a $31 million dead cap hit. Yeah, it's a difficult spot. I don't think he's going to want to be there at this point with the limited usage that he has. Yeah, that's a tough one. Great trade still.
I'm not only. Oh, go ahead, brother. I keep cutting you.
Trading him is still going to be painful, I believe.
Probably, and this is not to say that A.J. Brown is like the end all be all, but in that moment, man, game on the line, season on the line, and the ball goes up. Give me a fucking shot one-on-one. to win a jump ball over trying to squeeze it between three fucking dudes when you have not been on target all day.
A trade before June 1st is going to result in a $43 million cap hit. A trade after post June 1st, which, by the way, you can't designate a post June 1st trade. The trade actually has to take place after June 1st, would result in a $16.3 million dead cap hit this year. And then you would be incurring that extra $33 million in 2028.
Yeah, I think they'd be okay with that.
We'll see. I mean, it's a lot tougher to do the trades post June 1st, but without it being into the season. That cap hit before free agency, before the draft, that's a tough one, especially when AJ Brown was traded for a second round pick from the Titans in the first place. He's only gotten older. His production has gone down. There's, I think that he still has the potential to be a phenomenal player, especially if he's invested in the team that he goes to. And I don't know that investment is there as much with the Eagles. I think he's a little disenfranchised with the way things are going. It's a tough one contract wise though, to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I cannot foresee that he's going to want to be there. Now, maybe they can't trade him for whatever reason, and he'll play. But there's no way that that's going to be a good relationship going forward. We've already seen it be rocky multiple different occasions.
It was rocky on the sideline.
Yeah, it was. Ooh, we got a hot take coming in here. Sometimes it's worth taking the hit when he's a problem in the locker room, just like Diggs with Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to. Yeah, he signed this new contract April 2024, which takes him to the 2029 season. 32 mil annually, 84 mil guaranteed. It's a big one. That's the thing, is that if Philadelphia is trading him, they can't trade him for cheaper because of that contract, and that probably boosts him up to them requiring like a first or second and some change, and it's still a tough one to swallow. But yeah, I'm in agreement. I think the relationship there is fractured, and it seems like it's been going that direction for several years. Did you see the video of the Philly fan, the little kid?
Little kid? Oh yeah, great, dude. That kid needs a podcast. Somebody get that kid on a fucking podcast. Right?
Love you, AJ Brown, but you need to go somewhere else.
That kid was great, man.
Tulo needs to be flipping burgers.
Which, I mean, there's a possibility at this point now.
Yeah. But we'll move on to our next game here.
49ers, good job. We bashed on the Eagles kind of a little bit for the most part here, and I got a little football.
Quick question there.
Good job, 49ers.
Quick question. Did they play a boring brand of football?
This wasn't boring, man. When that fucking reverse pass came out, I was like, all right, here we go. Like, let's get it in our bag a little bit, Shanahan.
That was a fun one.
Yeah. I was a little frustrated. I did a drive parlay, and the only thing I was missing was a Jawan Jennings catch of 5 or more yards, and the only time he touched the ball, he threw that motherfucker.
Yeah.
So
it was a really.
What are you gonna do?
Really fun play. All right, Mike, lead us into our next game.
All right, brother. We got the Patriots getting a win. It was a boring ass game over the fucking Chargers, who could do nothing. This was probably one of the most boring games to watch, because even the Monday night game, the first half was like, okay, what's going on? This game stunk. Herbert didn't play great. Drake didn't play great. It was a defensive kind of struggle, but the offensive line for the Chargers was kind of always going to be the thing that ruined this season for them after the injuries happened. They ran into a really good team in the Patriots, who are well coached on the defensive side of the ball, especially. I mean, bad shit was going to happen, and that'd be 3 points is all they were able to muster. What do you got on this game, man?
Yeah, the Chargers are just such an injured team that this fate was probably inevitable going into the playoffs. Omari and Hampton runs the ball once, and they have to take him out again. Cavani Vidal, a guy that I like. He obviously didn't have a good day, but you are running behind a ragtag offensive line. And Justin Herbert just got messed up in this game. Look, he came into the game injured. He's got a broken hand, non-throwing, but he was just getting beat up in this one. He did some stuff with his legs and everything, but I think it was such a losing battle for him from the get-go. I know that he is being trashed a lot. I like Justin Herbert. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think that if they had the same sort of team without this dramatic of injuries going into the postseason, we'd be having a very different conversation about him. And so by all means, I like JJ McCarthy a lot, but if Harbaugh, if you want him back, we can talk business and work out some sort of a trade to get Justin Herbert up to Minnesota. Because I do think that he would fit with Kevin O'Connell's system. I think that he would be a good quarterback for us. But that's neither here nor there.
Drake JJ?
No, I'm not. I like JJ. I want to see where it goes with him. But if this offseason the Vikings want to go big game hunting, I've got my eyes on two quarterbacks, and that's Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. And I don't think Joe Burrow is happening because there wasn't a coaching change there in Cincinnati. The only AFC North team to not have a coaching change. I don't know if that's going to happen unless Joey B wants it and forces it. But I don't think that's going to happen either. On the other side, Drake Maye, while it wasn't like a overly spectacular day, I thought he played a really good game. Like, he looked absolutely up to the role, to the part of being a playoff quarterback. The one mistake that he had was a tipped interception. But otherwise, great on the ground, running the ball, great through the air. With, let's be real, like, not a lot of offensive talent on this team. I like a lot of their pieces. Keyshawn Butte, Efton Chisholm is a fun guy. Another small white receiver in Pitt or with the Patriots. Like, that's totally them. Diggs was very much so not involved in this game, which is very surprising. Kyle Williams is a piece that I really love. Ramondre Stevenson had a huge day for him. 75 yards through the air, another 53 on the ground, looked really good. They didn't have to produce a whole lot of offense because that defense, who also isn't stacked. Like, this roster, we know, is not a stacked roster, but they are very fucking well coached. The same sort of stuff that I talk about with Brian Flores and how he elevates the defense in Minnesota, despite the fact that they don't have tons of game-changing guys all over the field and haven't in previous years. You get that same sort of effect from Vrabel. And McDaniel's on the offensive side. You are seeing what very good coaching can do with a average to even sometimes subpar roster, and how they can make them believe and how they can make them play to a playoff type of level. This Patriots team, yes, they had an easier schedule. Yes, they didn't have super impressive wins throughout the entire year where it's like, oh, you just beat the 2012 Chiefs type team. They didn't have a lot of that, but they had a very good season. And this is a team that is passionate. They're bought in, and they're playing a really good brand of football. I liked what I saw from them a lot. That defense was flying around doing great things. A big thing to watch for this upcoming week is Christian Gonzalez, who went into the concussion protocol. He is a lockdown corner. He is a very good corner. If they're not able to have him back for this game, that's going to make them susceptible in the pass game. But a really good game from this Patriots team. I'm happy for them. It's so weird to say because I got very fucking tired of the Patriots with Tom Brady. I got tired of the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes being in the playoffs every year and constantly being one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. I got tired of this Patriots team, and I'm behind him now. I'm behind Vrabel. I like what they got. I love Maye, love Vrabel. I love what they're doing up there in New England.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool story. Cool. I mean, Vrabel going back and coaching where he played is obviously awesome. I like Drake Maye as well, man. He was one of my favorite guys coming out. Kind of got reshuffled when it got to evaluations, the draft evaluations, and was a little down on him. I mean, but he has grown into full potential. You said he played a really good game. I think he played. I mean, he didn't play bad. He held on to the ball too long in this game. I think he wanted to make a lot of things happen, and because of that, things didn't happen. But outside of that, yeah, he played pretty good. But if he would have been more decisive, I think this could have got a little more out of hand. But honestly, it didn't matter. They didn't need to do much. Herbert did not play well, and that offensive line did nobody any favors. So
no, that last sack by Milton Williams, and then he comes off on the sideline and gives a bloody lip to Vrabes. That like cemented the game, obviously, but that's kind of what we saw all night was that, you know, a again, less than average at times pass rush was absolutely able to get home on Herbert. There were times that I thought Herbert could be knocked out of the game because of how much he was getting roughed up. So a really good job there by that Pats D.
Absolutely. Now let's take it home, man. Let's finish this Monday night game.
Yeah, last game of wild card weekend, Texans, Steelers, and the Steelers absolutely trounced this, or excuse me, the Texans absolutely trounced the Steelers team. That Texans defense, as we've been saying all year, is for fucking real. Danielle Hunter is my man. He's the most underrated defensive end in the league for, it seems like, his entire career. He's so goddamn good. And this Steelers team could not do shit. They couldn't get anything going. I think it was no conversions on third down through the first half. This Texans defense is legit. The offense obviously has some question marks. Things didn't really get going until the fourth quarter. That's when things really broke loose. But this is the same thing that we've seen from the Texans all year. That offensive line isn't great. It affects the passing game quite a bit, but that defense can carry this team a long ways in the playoffs. Really good run day from that Houston Texans team. They were, I believe, averaging over 5 yards a carry for a majority of the game with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, the ghost of Nick Chubb out there taking it to the Steelers.
He looked all right.
You have to say that. It's in your contract. But the good game from the Texans. It warmed my cockles to see Aaron Rodgers getting frustrated. I mean, that first third down that he missed the throw and started getting all pissed, like, this is not my fault. It was.
You gotta jump higher because he fucking sailed that pitch.
Yeah. That's going to be the saddest part about Aaron Rodgers not playing football anymore, is not getting to see his temper tantrums and have it warm my heart and be like, this guy's just a piece of shit. But I also will be just as happy to not have to deal with his bullshit anymore until he gets in politics or some god awful thing.
Oh,
like that.
Please, God. I swear to God, if I have to listen to commercials of Aaron Rodgers selling himself to me in political campaigns, I will. Okay, I'm not going to say it because it's bad. It affects the community that we are a part of very much. But Jesus, I would rather fillet a hot curling iron than listen to Aaron Rodgers sell me himself in a political ad. There, now I'll go with that.
All right, clip it, Amber. Yeah, but yeah, a really good run game from this Houston team. 112 yards on the ground from Woody Marks. Traditionally a little bit more of a receiving back who's had a good year. Taking on more of a lead back role with Joe Mixon not being involved whatsoever. And CJ Stroud had himself a decent little day. But yeah, this was Houston's defense. The Houston defense was just outstanding.
Yeah, I thought CJ Stroud was trying to give this thing away at the beginning of the game. He was fucking pissing me off. I even said, I believe those exact words to you watching this game.
5 fumbles, 2 of them lost.
Yeah.
And an interception. It was rough there. Houston looked absolutely like the better team all the way through that first half. And then they just kept stepping on their crank, particularly CJ Stroud. Little mistakes here and there, turning the ball over, giving hope to the Steelers. Like, hey, look at this. Look at this defense. We're turning them over. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Texans they did look better through the entirety of the game.
Wait, you know what's crazy? They turned the fucking Texans over 3 times, won the turnover margin by 2, and got beat by 24 fucking points. There was no offense.
Can't win if your offense can't do shit, dick.
You cannot win a game if you can't fucking score. It's what we talked about in our show, picking these predictions. Like they was going to have to try to beat DK Metcalf. Sure, they didn't force feed him. They only got 5 targets. He was the most productive guy, 42 yards. They couldn't get shit going. That Texans defense is legit. They have a chance to win every game in the playoffs because of how good that defense is. But if CJ Stroud fumbles the ball 5 times in any other game, they 100% lose it. But against the Steelers, the offense wasn't ever going to get off the ground there. So good for them. Good for them. That'll be a fun matchup going into the next one.
Yeah, look, it is setting up for a very interesting divisional round. Broncos, Bills in Denver, Patriots, Texans in Foxborough, Seahawks, 49ers in Seattle, and the Bears versus the Rams in Chicago again for a game that I'm hearing is expected to be possibly down to -10. Very cold one for an LA team, an old quarterback. Something to keep in mind. As much as I would love to see the Rams beat the Bears to knock the rest of the NFC North teams out of the playoffs, I think we got a matchup there.
That is going to be a good ass game, man. I cannot wait for Saturday when we get to break all of these fucking things down. But my man, do we got anything else to go over before we get out of here?
No, brother. I think that's about it. Fun wild card weekend. Very intense, fun stuff happening as far as the coaching carousel and how teams are going to stack up. I'm still hopeful that Brian Flores is going to stay in Minnesota. After today's press conference with Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, they seem very sure that the only thing that will make him leave is for a head coaching position, not another DC spot. And, our assistant head coach, Mike Pettin, retired today. So we have a spot for an assistant head coach as well as that defensive coordinator role. So Flores, come get the money. We can work it out. I'm sure he'll be gone next year, but just give me another year.
Well, he's only got one interview request, right?
So far, he has had one interview. I don't know about any other requests, and that was actually said in the press conference today from Kevin O'Connell. He knows that he's interviewing at one spot, but he fully expects there to be more because he's deserved of those interviews. Respect to the team acknowledging that. But yes, he has interviewed and completed that interview with the Ravens. So we'll see.
We will see. God, I do not want that to be the fucking case. I do not want him to go to the Ravens. But my man, I appreciate you. And to everybody who is tuning in right now or is tuned in throughout, we appreciate you guys very much as well. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. I'm going to give my man Evo one last word, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. It's been a long day. I had class from 12:30 to fucking 6:20. So I need to get some sleep. Evo, give him one last word, and then we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah. The last word is just a question. What's the pussy like in Greenland? Cold?
Probably colder than the pussy in Venezuela.
Probably. Yeah. We might find out sooner than later. Not sure I'm cool with that, but we'll see.
Nope. Nope. Guys, we appreciate you. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is Raw Dog Sports.